Daddy Gang, I went to Washington, D.C. to interview Vice President Kamala Harris. As you guys know, I do not usually discuss politics or have politicians on this show because I want Call Her Daddy to be a place that everyone feels comfortable tuning in. Every single week, I talk about topics like mental health, relationships, sex, sexuality, trauma. Overall, my focus is women and the day-to-day issues that we face. So, I will be honest.
If you're just joining in, we're about to watch Call Her Daddy, VP Harris. So what I noticed today, the discourse on this particular topic, is that the white woman's, I guess, philosopher, if you will, she's been under fire all day. When she posted that she was going to do this, I understand she wants to get the political ideologies of both candidates because Harris's, one of her main platform pieces is about women's reproductive rights, women's health, and of course, the core audience, I'd say 90-95% of Call Her Daddy's audience is, of course, women. And so, to see the discourse today about how many of the women who know that Roe v. Wade is on the chopping block, who know that these issues are going to affect them, are so against Harris is very eye-opening. So I wanted to take a second, and take a look and see exactly what they're talking about, like what things they're gonna cover, right? So if you're new here, sit around, put it on, put your earphones in. I jump in and out for commentary. Give me a like, give me a follow if you're new here. But yeah, let's jump right into it. Call Her Daddy and VP Harris.
I had been going back and forth with this decision for a while. To get involved or to not get involved. But at the end of the day, I couldn't see a world in which one of the main conversations in this election is women, and I'm not a part of it. I am so aware I have a very mixed audience when it comes to politics, so please hear me when I say my goal today is not to change your political affiliation. What I'm hoping is that you're able to listen to a conversation that isn't too different than the ones that we're having here every week. I was given 40 minutes with the Vice President of the United States. No topic was off limits. I prepared 7 different versions of this interview. Do I talk about the economy? Do I talk about border control? Do I talk about fracking? But then I realized you can hear about all of those issues on whichever news site you prefer. And let's be real, I'm probably not the one to be having the fracking conversation. But the conversation I know I am qualified to have is the one surrounding women's bodies and how we are.
Okay, jumping in real quick. So, you missed my Trump stream yesterday. I did that yesterday afternoon. So it seems as though she's gonna be talking a lot about the female aspect of this election, which is very important, right? We see every day that they come under attack, and you'll be surprised at how many people say that we're not ready for a woman president, a female president, female leadership, when every day women make strides in corporate America, in government, in banking. No, I'm not MAGA. No. But they make strides every day about these things, right? So it's important for a conversation about women for a particular age range that Call Her Daddy. I think is that Alex? I know they split up. Hold on a second. Which one is it? Anybody know who this is? I know it was 2 of them, right? The story behind Call Her Daddy. Remember that rocked podcast world a couple years ago? Like the co-host was that, and this little lore, the lore of Call Her Daddy. So the co-host and her, 2 girls. It's kind of like, remember American Idol, Ryan Seacrest? And it was another dude. That dude left American Idol because he wanted to go about his acting career. Never heard from him again, right? So Call Her Daddy happens. It's 2 hosts. One girl is dating a HBO executive. And he gets in her ear, says, yo, you're bigger than the brand. They fall out with Barstool. Now she comes back and kisses the ring of Dave Portnoy. Now we all know Dave is a crazy person, right? He's a wild man, a shrewd cutthroat. And so they let her have her IP and go about her business. No strings attached, which is a crazy deal because they were probably the most profitable podcast on the Barstool Network. And so now Alex is thriving. She just signed a $125 million deal, right? Signed a $125 million deal, and she's interviewing the president, well, the VP, soon to be president. Where's the other girl at? Like I said, sometimes you can't sit here and act like you're bigger than the brand. Sometimes you got to fall in line and make your own path. And that's what she did. So, that's a little backstory, a little lore. Let's jump into this.
And how we are.
If you're new here, welcome. Give me a like so we can get more people in the chat. Give me a follow. Give me what else is there? All the other things. But I appreciate y'all nonetheless.
Treated and valued in this country. I want to be so clear, since this isn't a one-sided conversation, we reached out to former President Donald Trump to come on the show. If he also wants to have a meaningful, in-depth conversation about women's rights in this country, then he is welcome on Call Her Daddy anytime. So, Daddy Gang, with all of that said, let's get into it.
Hold on. Daddy Gang is a wild name for your fan base. Daddy Gang. Oh, look at you, adding her to the podcast. What's up?
What is up, Daddy Gang? It is your founding father, Alex Cooper, with Call Her Daddy. Madam Vice President Alex, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
It is good to be with you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
We're in the final stretch of the election.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. And I'm feeling nervous. You know, there's this old adage.
I will say, VP Harris be looking good. Sorry. You know, all due respect to her husband. She be looking good, though. She's so raw. You know what I'm saying? She went to Howard. But I will say she's been very well poised and educated throughout this whole thing, right? She's never leaned into like the podcast. I'm not podcast. So you said pod. She's never leaned into the politics of race. I think that's been a talking point that a lot of us have leaned into. When you look at like the conversations surrounding her race and all that stuff, that actually just happens online. Like she never said she's gonna be the first black racial Indian, East Asian American, whatever. She didn't do any of that. She just leans into like the policies and whatever. And like I said, when we look at both, because if you're new here, I'm a political channel. But when we talk about her policies and Donald Trump's policies, we see stark differences, right? She's laid out plans that are pretty comprehensive. Do they have their faults? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's for us to decipher what they are, talk about how we're going to get to that point, what will it cost us, what are the benefits, and we can do that constructively with Harris's side. On the other side, I'm not lying to you when I say the only real economic plan I've seen has been about tariffs. That's it. His main thing has been immigration, the economy, men and women in sports, but that's it. There's no real meat to what he has going on. She is from her hometown. Oh, wow. You from the same place? Oakland? Nice. Oh, wait, Alex. One and two. All right, let's get to it.
There's this old adage, there are only two ways to run.
Child
without
taxpayer.
an opponent or scared. So there you go. The only thing that matters is really just spending as much time as I can, as much time as I possibly can, meeting with people and talking with them about the stakes and their future.
Let's talk about it. Because if you're in here, we watch this. This is a 40-minute video. Some of y'all are new here, some of y'all are not. People who are not new here, you know how this goes. This may take us 3 hours. Who knows what you got to do right now? It's Monday. Come chill with me. Trump's tax policy does really. Nah, listen, it's all good if you got to run. You know what I'm saying? Or cut me on and just while you drive, wherever you go. But I will say Trump's tax policy, again, it's going to cost us a lot more money, right? They've broken it down. You have scholars that have said, hey, man, this is going to cost $5 trillion versus Harris's plan. Listen, hey, Andre, what I be telling y'all, clean your house, clean your bathroom, and put on Easy Shot. That's what I do. Well, I listen to myself, but you know. But yeah, no, they've looked at experts. And see, J.D. Vance said we need to listen to wisdom, not experts. That's the most insane thing I heard in that debate. And I'm still counting y'all said Joe wasn't going to fact check as one of the things. But at the same time, I tell y'all all the time, it's good to research topics, research talking points. Oh, I want to touch on one thing, because I know I got some new people in here. If you're new here, hey, what's up? I'm going to blow your mind real fast. I'm going to show y'all something. If I still got it up. I probably still do. Hold on. Get this out of the way. No, I don't. All right, I gotta switch something. Let me switch my little views real quick. Give me 2 seconds. I want to show y'all something. Google. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all something real quick, and then we're gonna move on. So, yesterday we went over some things over here, and this will really help y'all. Those of y'all that want to learn more about bills, want to learn more about legislation, decipher articles, all that good stuff. There was a site that I found called Notebook LM. Now, pause for a second, whatever you're doing, listen up. So Notebook LM was purchased by Google. It's an AI tool. Now, Google is always a step behind, but they will work to make things better. So they came out with Bard, which was their AI system, right? And it wasn't the best. I was a beta tester for that. Wasn't the best AI. ChatGPT was killing them by leaps and bounds. But they came out with something new a couple of days ago, so we're real early on this. So it's called Notebook LM by Google. And what it does, let me get this Spotify thing out the way. I'll bring it back in a second. So what I did, if you see these columns here, these are different articles and bills that I put into my thing. Now, what do? Let's go into SB 942. Now, SB 942 is Senate Bill 942. It's a bill that was just signed by Gavin Newsom about AI regulations in Cali. Basically saying, like, if you have a platform with a lot of people on it, you have to disclose what is AI and what's not. Okay? Now, hey, you new here? Share this live to your friends. This ain't no just rambling black man. This is real. So it's a bill that is signed to have disclosures of AI content in your things that you put out, right? And so, let me show you this. It might take a few minutes, damn. Okay. But what I did was I took the bill, I copied it from the internet, and you upload it right here into the search bar. And then it deciphers it. Oh, it pulled up. Now it gives you a breakdown, a summary of what the article or whatever it is you're trying to find, which is great. It kind of breaks things down so you can easily read it. If you want frequently asked questions, you can click that. Will it generate? It takes a second to load. But ask frequently asked questions. If you're in school, right, you're taking an article from a lecture. Here are the frequently asked questions that are in this article as well. See that? Get rid of that there. Table of contents, timeline, and brief doc. And those are all really cool. But the one thing I do want to show y'all is the podcast component of it. Now you may say to yourself, what do you mean podcast component? Like, what are you talking about? This is going to blow your mind, because it took me, when you upload it, it takes about 5 to 7 minutes for it to compile everything and make it into a podcast. It's 2 white people. How do I know they're white? You'll see why. But the conversation is so fluid and natural that it blew my mind how this only happened within 5 to 7 minutes, right? So it took the article about the SB 942 and it made it into a conversation. So I want y'all to hear a little bit of this conversation. You ready? If you're not sitting down, sit down. I want you to pass out.
Hey everyone, remember back in the day when we just had to worry about whether a photo was photoshopped or not? Yeah, well, those were the good old days, right? Buckle up, because tech's evolving faster than ever, and seeing is definitely not believing anymore.
It's true. We're in the age of deepfakes now, where AI can cook up content that looks and sounds so real, it's kind of scary.
Seriously, it's like, how many times have you seen a video online and thought, wait a minute, is that even real?
Listen to the inflections in their voice, the cadence, the back and forth banter. This is AI. These are not 2 real individuals.
It's getting harder and harder to tell what's legit.
And that's a huge problem. Deep fakes can be used for all sorts of shady stuff, spreading fake news, scamming people, you name it.
Exactly. It's like the Wild West out there. But
I just want to put that in the air. I just wanted y'all to hear this so you can know exactly what's out there. So again, I use it to decipher bills. Whenever I get new legislation, somebody puts something on my desk, an article about something, I don't have time to really sit and read it. It's not right. It's crazy and it's scary because again, right now you can't change the voices. It's just those two voices. But there is software, so you could download this, right? So you could take that 9-minute clip, download it. There's software that can change voices. So my friend voice, hit my voice, put it together. Now we got a podcast. Every day I could drop 37 clips of a podcast. Every day. And you'd be like, how is he making all this stuff so fast? AI. And the ironic part about this, and I didn't even think about it till this time I showed y'all, what they're talking about and what they're deciphering is the SB 942 bill, which is what you have to disclose AI content, such as this. Mind blown. Anyway, I just want to share that with y'all real fast. I know, we went on a tangent, but I told you that's what we do here. We ain't just watching content. That's how you get banned. But all right, let me go back to Call Her Daddy, and let's get through this. Boop. Not that. Boop. There we go. All right. Madam Vice President, go ahead.
I'm curious, like, you don't do too many long form interviews. What made you want to do Call Her Daddy today?
Well, I think you and your listeners have really got this thing right, which is one of the best ways to communicate with people is to be real, you know, and to talk about the things that people really care about. I mean, what I love about what you do is that your voice in your show is really about your listeners. And I think especially now, this is a moment in the country and in life where people really want to know they're seen and heard and that they're part of a community, that they're not out there alone. And so I'm really glad to be with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking.
Before we continue, make sure y'all like the chat. Want to get more people in here. We have a daily goal. Those of y'all that have been in here, you know what the goal is. We have a goal of 10,000 likes per stream. Typically, we get that about 85% of the time. We want to keep that streak going. So I appreciate y'all for here. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time. I know you're a very busy person. I really like to get to know people on my show.
Okay.
Obviously, we are going to talk about all the issues that are going on, but I also want to get to know you as a person today. Is that okay with you?
Of course.
Okay, let's get into it. Growing up, my mother is a psychologist. Yes.
Oh, how is that?
Oh, it was great question. Now in hindsight, like fabulous.
Yeah.
When I was in it, I was like, Mom, why do you know everything? Like, leave me
Yeah.
alone. But
Yeah.
one thing I really valued was she really emphasized the importance of mental health and
Yes.
talking about our feelings and
Yeah.
communicating. And
Yeah.
I know that you were primarily raised by your mother.
Yes.
Can you share with me, like, what values did your mom instill in you from a young age?
Well, you know, similar to what you described about your mother, my mother definitely impressed upon us the importance of us being able to express how we were feeling. And a lot of it, I think, was also about her teaching us that we had agency. And so that things don't just happen to you. And so think about how you were feeling, not just as a way to dump, but also as a way to kind of figure out where you are in a moment, right? And center yourself. I mean, to your point, when I got older, like when I was in, I don't know, late teens, my 20s, if I came home with a problem, I'm telling you, every time if I came home with a problem, the first thing my mother would do is she would look at me like other.
Black Greek Energy, ATL Peach. Appreciate the gifts. Thank you so much. You know what? I have the whole, like, in my account, I guess, for all the stuff. I have never, like, deposited money. I just leave it in there. I think as of today, I have like $20. I've been streaming for like a month and some change. $20. Growing, baby. All day, every day, baby. That's how we do. That's how we do.
Other
Appreciate
mothers,
it.
I believe, were hugging their kids and like, oh, honey, what can I do? And my mother, the first thing, what did you do? But here's the thing that I realized. She was actually teaching me, think about where you
Brick
had
by brick.
agency in that moment. And think about,
Oh, you know what's crazy? Streamlabs just hit my account. $19.95. I said, all right, I guess I'm in here. I guess I'm streaming. So I'm on Twitch. If you guys have Twitch, I have Twitch. I'm on Instagram right now. I think Instagram be acting weird, and I think I'm on YouTube right now streaming. I don't know, but we'll see.
think about what you had the choice to do or not do. And like, don't let things just happen to you. And I realized that was a really powerful thing she was teaching, which is figure out how you can take charge of a moment.
Yeah.
You can't always. We don't have control of everything, obviously, but don't just let things happen to you without thinking about, okay, what can I do in this moment?
It's fun to hear you say that because these are themes that I've talked about on my show before of like,
Yeah.
we can sit here and dwell on something that happened to us, but then we can also say, yeah, but what could I have done in that situation to have autonomy over my life? People can do things to you, but you can only decide how you're going to react. That's all you have control
but that's
over, right?
exactly right. But that's exactly right. And in that way, you realize don't let anyone take your power from you. You know, that's so important. I mean, the other thing my mother would say all the time, and I'm going to quote, is don't do anything half-assed.
Yeah. I'm curious when you're saying that about, you know, have agency over your own life
Yeah.
and don't let things just happen to you, like take control and take accountability. How have you put that into being the vice president of the United States?
A lot of my career was as a prosecutor. And so it was about really wanting to protect the most vulnerable and where they did not have the power. And it wasn't of their own choosing, but because they were the subject of abuse, because they were the subject of an imbalance.
Let me jump in real quick. I think the purpose of these interviews, like when Donald Trump was on Theo Von or Aiden Ross or she's on Call Her Daddy, I think the main crux of why they do these is to humanize themselves, right? You got to think, a lot of us out here are in our 30s, late 30s. I'm 38. And, you know, this is like my fifth election, I guess. And so for me, I want to know about policy, but if you're 18, 19, 20, still in college, maybe recent grad, this is your first election you may be taking seriously or your first time voting, period. And so when I voted for the first time for John Kerry, I didn't know nothing about John Kerry. I know he's in the military. I know I did a report on him in high school. That's it. That's all I knew about John Kerry. And so I don't think people should. We're going to look at the comments when this is over. They're 100% going to be killing her in the comments. 100%. But I think that the main point of this is to humanize them and make them more relatable, right? Talking about her family upbringing, talk about her young adulthood, talking about her collegiate years, you know, maybe young dating, you know, that kind of stuff. And then they'll touch on some policy aspects of it. Yeah, no, listen. The Theo Von, I listened to that at night. The Theo Von Donald Trump interview was all right. You know what I'm saying? He had Bernie Sanders up there. It was all right. You know, you saw, because Theo can make anybody comfortable. Right? He can make anybody feel at home, anybody feel like, all right, you know what, I got a place here where I can just be myself. And that's kind of what makes Theo great. But of course, Theo is very biased, right? Like, deep down in heart, he might have a little Republican twitch to him, you know? And that's what we saw afterwards. He started flipping up. When Mark Cuban came on there and was talking bad about Trump, he kind of shied away from it. Or he made like a little silly joke when Mark was getting in his bag. Like, this is just what happens, though, you know? So we'll look at the comment section of the post that was previewing this because it has 23,000 comments, and I guarantee you 95% of them are bad. But it's crazy when you think about it because these women, these policies will affect them, right? Because Donald Trump got in office, he put Supreme Court justices in, and the Supreme Court justices were handpicked in overturning Roe v. Wade. Donald Trump was very instrumental in taking credit for the destruction of Roe v. Wade. And yet, the repealing of Roe v. Wade affects the most, you see them saying, hey, I'm Trump 2024. This is like a person that overrules like interracial dating. or black people having certain rights. And we're saying, yeah, I'm voting for him wholeheartedly. That'd be crazy. But that's what white women do. We've seen this time and time again. Like on TikTok, Mama Tot and that cop dude. They're currently going under fire because of their comments about the hurricane, spreading misinformation to their millions of followers. And it's just tough because you want to put trust in these people because you like the things they say. Keep in mind, it's all performative. We come online and put on characters. I don't speak, I guess I speak somewhat animated, but when I do videos, it's kind of like monotone a little bit. And so I have to change the way I talk to portray a message because I want to go viral again. You know, I want to grow my audience. I feel like I can be a pillar in this community as far as the messaging and understanding certain things that impact our lives, but I got to grow. And so I could have come on here and been like, you know, peace, love, and happiness. I want to spread positivity to everybody, but have been beating my wife at home. It's all an act. It's all an act. But blind by proximity to power, white women think different. And that's the thing. White women were brought, it's the upbringing, right? Like we always say, nobody's born racist, right? I was in ROTC, Navy ROTC when I was growing up. My commanding officer, Commander Johnson, right? And he said something very powerful to me. He said people are born good and taught to be evil. And I thought about that. I thought about that for years, clearly. I was high school, you know, 02, 03. And he said that to me, and it stuck with me over the years. Because when you really get down to the core, bad habits are taught. No one comes out the womb disliking other people. But as you start to go through life, you become jaded on certain things. Maybe things aren't going your way, and you don't want to look within to change your behavior. So you blame other people. We've seen this with the Haitians, with the Venezuelans, with migrants in general. You can't do it with black people. That's just out the way right now. You can't openly hate black people, American black people. But you can hate immigrants, namely Haitians. See, they found a loophole to disliking black people. When we streamed that one video where a dude went to Springfield, Ohio, and the first person he talked to called the Haitian neighbors he had a couple houses down sand monkeys. Well, he couldn't get away with that if he just called black people that. But because he's talking about Haitian migrants, he's just frustrated. You see what I mean? So when we look at Call Her Daddy's audience, all these women are impacted. These women don't understand. These men that are in power do not think you deserve rights. They do not feel like you need to be in power. You don't need to have a place of authority. You can't sit at the table. And yet, because of their upbringing, it's so ingrained in them that it's hard to change. It's hard to admit you're wrong. When Kamala Harris first came on the scene, and she was at the debate, and Tulsi Gabbard said she locked up thousands of black men, I ran with that for 4 years. It wasn't until I did some research about her arrest convictions and found out it was only 45 black men. I make that video, it goes viral. Now I have to admit, in front of my very small audience at the time, I was wrong. But over the course of a month, 40 million people saw me say I was wrong. And it's tough. Not just black men, 45 men in general, I'm sorry, 45 men. I think that the black man part was what we all held on to, but it was just 45 men. It was 1,956 convictions. And so I think it's just people not wanting to admit that the ideals they held on to their entire lives are wrong. You got to think, a kid in high school, a kid in college that's cursing out Kamala Harris, cursing out Biden, saying racist things. Obama was president when they were a kid. A black man was the highest ranking position in the country when they were a kid for 8 years. So in their mind, it's not impossible for a black man to be the highest ranking position. It's President Obama. What you mean? Black men weren't president before this? They weren't? This is the first one? So, anyway.
subject of an imbalance of power, right? And so a lot of the work that I've done has been about wanting to restore, to the extent I can play a role in that.
I thank you for that. I thank you, Caspian, for following me on that. But also, I said her name wrong all up and down that video. Kamala. Because I never needed to say her name before. Let's be honest. I never did. But I said her name all up and down the video. Kamala this, Kamala that. And you know how many people's corrected me? Hundreds. What was my next video? Kamala. We are less than 30 days away from the election, and you still have people calling her Kamala. This is just blatant disrespect to this person at this point. Because it's one thing when she just came on the scene, you know, hey, what's her name again? But it's another thing to say, I have heard her name said correctly for months now, and I'm still going to call her the wrong name. But that's a disrespect of women, not just black women, but women in this country. So when I see people so adamantly going for Donald Trump, or any Republican for this matter, let's go back to Mama Tot and the cop. What's the cop's name? Somebody give me the cop's name. It's like Bobby something or something like that. What's the cop's name? Y'all know what I'm talking about. When we talk about them, they're so pissed at the current administration, not knowing when it comes to FEMA funds, it's determined by Congress. And so when we talk about Congress, well, the vote was, hey, should we increase the funding? Udi, that's his name. Udi? Is that, am I saying that right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. But Congress holds the purse strings. And since Congress holds the purse strings, Congress could have increased the number that people are given. We went through this during the Maui fires in Hawaii. But guess where Congress is right now? On recession. Till when? After the election. See, they could, the Speaker of the House could have, is the Speaker of the House? There's a brain fart about it. I'll find his name. But he could have called them back to say, hey guys, we need to make a vote about increasing the funding that we give as a one-time payment to these people. We need to increase that. But you know what he said? Nah, I'm good. It's Speaker of the House. Okay, so I'm right. And so when people know this information, I've showed y'all time and time again on this very channel, hey, if you want to know something about a bill that you've heard of, you can see who voted on it. When Donald Trump was saying we're going to make IVF free for all women, I said, how? The bill just happened and they voted against the bill. You know I know that, right? Like, you know I can see that, right? Went right to the bill on this stream. Whose name said no? J.D. Vance. You see what I'm saying? So when you have certain beliefs or policies that you see bills come into play for, you can see if they don't pass, who's responsible for that. And when you see your state representative there and you go in the voting booth and still vote for them, I can't blame nobody but you. You voted to have a pit bull or goldfish. You know the pit bull bit your neighbor. And you say, you know what? I'm going to run the pit bull back. No disrespect to pit bulls. They're beautiful little creatures. Love them. Example. The pit bull has the bad record. The goldfish ain't done nothing really. It's just being a fish. Yeah, it messed up the tank and it jumped out that one time. But it didn't bite a child. And yet, you're like, the pit bull do be barking at noises. I'm going to give him another chance. And that's what happens. So when bills don't pass and you're like, damn, what happened to the funding for that new road? And you see your representative say no, and you still vote for them, I blame you. I'm tired of blaming politicians. You knew they was trash. If Mark Robinson doesn't drop out and he wins governor of North Carolina, I blame them. I blame you. I don't blame him for being on Africa.net or whatever. What was it? Africa Speaks? It was something I ain't never heard of. And I am very well knowledgeable of the ebony arts. but I've never heard of that site. I think it was like a forum. I don't even think there were videos on there. I think you just like, it's like a journal for porn. Like, that's, which is weird. But if he wins, I blame them. So Black Creek Energy is being funny. We've known each other since college. You've been following me since college, brother. Don't forget that, brother. But you see what I'm saying? People go against their own issues. Mark Robinson said, I'm a black Nazi. He made fan fiction of doing some unspeakable things with his wife's sister. He hates MLK. He hates Obama. He loves the Nazis for whatever reason. Doesn't really make sense. And yet, there's some people that are like, You know what I mean? It's not even that he's going to lose, though, Marcel. It's the fact he still gets votes. You see, a loss doesn't necessarily tell the full story. You're still getting votes. It's close. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are for North Carolina. I live in Georgia. But Donald Trump, convicted felon, has done unspeakable things, takes credit for things that he did not do, has a concept of plans. If your heart surgeon said, we're going to do open heart surgery on your mama tomorrow, oh, well, Doc, what's your plan for this, man? I know it's a very delicate situation. I said, well, you know, I don't have a plan. I have concepts of plans. I'm not operating right now. You would pull your money out of that hospital immediately. And don't tell me you wouldn't. But this is where we are in this country. We have completely forgotten about the reason why we have been brought together today, didn't we? Call her daddy. Shit. I'm sorry, ladies. Look at me mansplaining government. I'm sorry.
Their right to have justice, to have voice. You know, right now, this fight for what we need to do around reproductive freedom is, I mean, could it be more at its core about just the basic right any individual of whatever gender has to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do? Or even voting.
Yeah.
Right? About saying, look, I know that there's cynicism. I know that there's a real feeling that, well, what does it matter? Does my voice matter? But a lot of my push to kind of hopefully convince people that they should vote is because you should never let anybody take your power from you. And voting is one of the ways that you use your voice to determine who your government will be and what your future will be by your government.
You've already made history. You are the first female vice president.
Yeah.
You could very well become the next president of the United States. What do you think your mom would say?
Well, okay, so let me just tell you what my mother did say when I was running for attorney general. Okay, so there'd never been a woman attorney general in California. And the race was so tight. I mean, fast forward to the end, on election night, my opponent declared his victory. By the way, I won. Okay, but let's go back. Let's go backward.
Also, you know how weird it is that people make fun of her because she be laughing? You know how crazy that is? Do you all know that was a thing? Where there was discourse surrounding the fact she laughed so much. That's how you know people hate women and black women and black people. Because this woman just would giggle as one does in conversations. And folks would be like, damn, look at her laughing like a hyena all the time. She can't laugh? I'm confused. Anyway.
Let's go backward. So when I was first running, and it was when my mother was very sick with cancer, and she ultimately passed away. But I would take her to the hospital, and I spent a lot of time with her and took care of her. So one day we're at the hospital, and she's in the bed, and she was at this phase of her illness where she was really tired, and so I'm sitting next to her, and she had her face turned in the other direction. She was kind of half sleeping. And then she leaned over to me and she said, "What's going on with the race?" And then she leaned back over, and I said, "Well, Mommy, they said they're going to kick my ass." At which point my mother turned her head, looked at me, and had the biggest smile. had the biggest smile ever. That was my mother.
It's like commercial breaks. What is this? I wish, and the screen didn't go black. It's just a bump. I don't know what's happening. I want to be a white woman. All right, hold on. Because it's mad easy, man. I ain't gonna hold. I'm not one of those like it's cause she white she's successful. But like, man, when you think about it, it is kind of easy. What's the white girl on TikTok? Kylie Pitts, the one who got like X amount of million people in like a day or something. Hawk Tua, like, and the reason why I think that happens is because there's just more of them than us. Let's keep it a bean, man. Let's keep it a bean. It's more of them than us. And what? Hold on. And what do black people talk about? We talk about a lot of things, but like we try and keep it towards like our community. And if our community don't prop us up, we don't go nowhere. You know what I mean? I look at people that do the same things as me. You know, I mean, I only got like 80 videos. I don't even have a lot. These don't even, okay. See, we get into man. Ladies, I'm sorry. These don't even be fine white women. I'm married to a beautiful dark-skinned queen. However, I know what some hot women look like. And I've known some hot white women over my life. Some hot Asians, hot Hispanics. But I'm sitting there saying, bruh, these are some of the most average looking, not even women, men. Well, I guess that was it. I had my hands up like there was more. They be the most average, the new kids, the new like cool kids be the most average looking kids ever. And you know, if you 30 plus, you know a hot white kid. You know what a good looking white kid look like. Pause. And they just get all the opportunities. And so, like, what is so dynamic about this podcast? What, women talk? They talk about sex. They talk about, you know, whatever. Like, I feel like it's the relatability of it, right? Think about it. Y'all probably seeing names in the chat you always see. Because I'm relatable to you. I give topics, I give real, I give it like it's your homeboy talking to you. Your homeboy that be ranting and you used to be sitting there like, goddamn, bro, but I'm still giving you the game. And so when we see them do well, it kind of is a baffling thing. But they grow so quickly because it's just more of them. Like me going, like, I've had 5 videos do really well. I know my Amanda Seals video, I got 9,000 followers off of that. 9,000. Now imagine if I was white and it had made it into the white spaces, or I was talking about a big white creator. I'd have probably 40,000 followers. But we work with what we got. I'm still getting brand deals, which is cool. Yeah, nah, the Barstool latch on was iconic because they rose to be Barstool's biggest thing. It attracted a demographic of people that were not there. It was just women, right? And women didn't really bang with Barstool like that. It's a bunch of frat boys without the frat. This must be where like an ad comes up or something.
Sitting across from you, I think, you know, as women, we have to work 10 times harder. We got to be smarter. We got to play the game to even get our foot in the door sometimes. Can you tell the daddy gang?
Yeah.
When people tell you no, when people look at you and doubt you, what does that ignite in you?
So I've been told that many times. And through the course of my career, I've been told, you know, at one point, you're too young. I've been told, oh, nobody like you has ever done that before. Oh, they're not ready for you. Oh, and this is the one that kills me. Oh, it's going to be a lot of hard work, right? As though we don't like hard work. And here's my response. I don't hear no. I don't hear no. And I urge all the daddy gang, don't hear no. Just don't hear it.
throughout this election, your identity has been called into question many times. Your opponent has called you crazy, weak, fake, and dumb. How does that affect you?
I think it's really important not to let other people define you. And usually those people who will attempt to do it don't know you.
I want to talk about before your career in Washington.
Yes.
You mentioned you worked as a prosecutor specializing in sexual assault cases.
Yeah.
And this is something, obviously, I touch on my show. I have so many women that listen, and I want to talk to you because I know you had a personal connection as to why you really sought that out. Can you talk about what led you to taking on that career?
So when I was in high school,
Real quick, before you tell the story, we're almost half the way through the goal of 10K likes. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. If you're not following me, please give me a follow. This kind of stuff happens all the time, man. Something to listen to. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, all that stuff. I'm live right now. So if you want to follow me there, I appreciate you. Help me grow there. Yeah. You were saying?
when I was in high school, my best friend, her name is Wanda, I learned was being sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And, you know, I knew something was going on because she didn't want to go home. She just seemed sad. And so she told me, and I immediately said, you have to come and stay with us. I called my mother, who was at work. Yes, she has to come stay with us, and she did. And it upset me so that someone where they should feel safe and protected were being so horribly abused and violated, right? And anyway, I decided at a young age I wanted to do the work of protecting vulnerable people. I mean, look, I'm the eldest of two daughters. I was raised with my mother saying since practically the day my sister was born, you know, look out for your sisters. So maybe it started when I was 2. But Wanda and her experience really convinced me and made me realize how this can happen and what we need to do to stand against it.
Can you, because again, like I have women write in being like, I don't know who to tell. I'm DMing you and I'm telling you because the shame and the terror and the where do I go from here? And most of the time it is the people that are closest to them that are doing this. Like,
it is.
What feelings do you have and like what is the course of action in that moment that you take?
So the first thing that I would say to anyone going through it is tell someone that you trust. Don't quietly suffer. You have done nothing wrong. You have done nothing wrong, and don't let anyone convince you you have. Often the abuser will tell her that if she tells, then something worse will happen. And that is usually wrong. And know that there are people that want you to be safe and will want to protect you, but don't silently suffer. And know that you have a right to live in a place where you feel safe and are actually safe.
Unfortunately, I know that so many women can relate to what we're talking about. 1 in 3 women has experienced some form of sexual abuse in their life.
That's exactly right.
And I feel like when we say that, that number can get lost because it's like 1 in 3 women, like, no, this is happening, this is real, this is happening right now.
But Alex, let me just say this also. Thank you for talking about it. Because part of the issue is that people don't talk about it. And I don't mean...
Appreciate y'all sharing out the live. Means a lot. Means a lot. Love it. Appreciate it. And yeah.
I don't mean the survivors of it. I mean nobody does. And the more that we let anything exist in the shadows, the more likely it is that people are suffering and suffering silently. And we need to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Child sexual assault is something that affects far more people than the public discourse about it acknowledges. And the more we talk about it, the more we will address it and deal with it, the more we will be equipped to deal with it, be it in terms of schools, in terms of the society at large, right? And to not stigmatize it.
I agree. I think like the power that we have is through our voice over here, like me trying to have a conversation any chance I can get, the amount of times I have conversations with women, and then I have thousands of women reaching out being like, oh my God, I just remembered something from watching this podcast episode and it brought back the trauma, but now I know I need to get help. Like, years ago, this wasn't even a conversation.
But see, that's exactly right. And so when I say stigmatize it, what I mean is stigmatize the survivor.
Yeah.
We still have so far to go on the issue of child sexual assault. Just like in a previous time, the issue of domestic violence. People didn't talk about domestic violence. And part of it was this really warped idea that, well, what happens in the home is none of our business. But if it happened on the street, it would be our business if we witnessed it on the street. And so the point being that abuse of anyone is something we should all take seriously, as opposed to saying it's not our business. It's something that we have to agree should not happen, and whatever resources and whatever attention we can put into reducing the likelihood that it happens is worthwhile.
How do we make this country safer for women?
That's a big question. There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, one of the things, for example, on domestic violence that I can tell you is this. When a woman, and in particular, if she has children, if she is economically reliant on her abuser, she's less likely to leave. Because most women will endure whatever personal, physical pain they must in order to make sure their kids have a roof over their head or food. So one of the ways that we know that women are able to walk away from abuse, and there are many layers to her being able to do that, but one of them is, does she have the economic freedom to be able to do that, right? So one of the ways that we know we can uplift the ability of women to have choices is uplift the ability of women to have economic health and well-being.
I'm going to get more into that later, but about, how we can make that possible. But I do want to reference something I saw was at a rally in Pennsylvania. Former President Trump recently told women, you will be protected and I will be your protector. What do you make of that?
So
I want to touch on what she just said as far as the answer. Yeah, as a black man, as a man in general, right? We don't think about domestic abuse as far as what women go through and why they stay, right? I myself, I don't ever think about that. I always say, listen, the dude puts his hands on you, leave. But it's deeper than that a lot of times. It's deeper than that, right? As she mentioned, being economically reliant upon a man is very tough, right? You leave the house, you ain't got $1 to your name because he paid all the bills. And so you'd have to be unemployed, not having no money for food, no money for clothing. Maybe there was one car in the household, so you're kind of stuck. And if you don't have family to go to, you're in a situation where you don't want to be in. And so she's right. To figure out how do we circumvent this, it's empowering women to have economic independence from their abusers. That's first and foremost. If you can pay for rent, you can be on your own. You pay for the roof over your head, the car note, and some food, you'll be all right. But it's getting to that point that is the problem. Number one, feelings are involved. Number two, money's important. And number three, the person's probably just crazy and you know what they're capable of. Or in some situations, you don't know what they're capable of, which is why you've seen time and time again an abusive boyfriend, abusive husband, abusive situationship that goes bad because the woman threatened to leave. It could be very detrimental. And again, women are not protected a lot of these times because when we talk about protective orders that are given, it does take some time for those things to go into effect. And who's to say? It's not like they have a protective magic barrier around them. It's just if you come within a certain distance, you can be arrested. But if the idea was to go in there and end it, and so to not put themselves in that situation, I think a lot of women just rather stay and just try and stay out the way or stay on their good side so that they don't have these situations happen. It's a very sad thing. But again, if you don't live that life, you don't care, or not necessarily care, but you don't think about the results. Same thing with homelessness. You got a job, you got a house, you good. You're not worried about that bum on the street. And forgive me for saying bum, but you're not thinking about their day to day. How do they know when the weather's about to change? How do they know when a hurricane is coming? They don't. They adapt. They find shelter as best they can. And so the only way to get people out of these situations is to empower them economically. I think when we talk about the problems of certain groups in America, the number one way to get them up out of it is through economic empowerment. I was trying to find a different word. I said economic empowerment like 3 times. But it comes with money. You know, homeless kids, they need shelter. How do you get shelter? Pay for it. Homeless individuals, same thing. A woman is being beat by her man. Why is she not leaving? Maybe it's the kids. Maybe she, like I said, doesn't have a job. So it's good to hear VP Harris talk about these things, because though we talk about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, gas prices, which the president does not control, it's very important that we address some of the issues that don't affect us directly. Because I think that's what being an American is. It's being able to look out for those that can't look out for themselves. So, oh, we're 8,000. Yay. Hold on. Y'all remember yesterday? What did I do? Was it this? No. It was something no, it was this. Yes! I'm controlling my powers, dog. I'm a mutant. X-Man. Jubilee powers. Anyway, back to this. Where's my mouse? There we go.
Who, when he was president, hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did just as he intended, and there are now 20 states with Trump abortion bans, including bans that make no exception for rape or incest, which we just discussed, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body they don't have a right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. So this is the same guy that is now saying that. This is the same guy who said that women should be punished for having abortions. This is the same guy who uses the kind of language he does to describe women. So, yeah, there you go.
I do want to focus on a
She has a point. She has a point. When we talk about Trump, we know how he is, how he gives it up with women. We know how he's talked. He's lost sexual assault cases. He's discriminated against. He's cheated on all his wives. Somehow probably still cheating on the one he's with now. And yet, they'll eat up the whole "I'll protect you." I want to take a second real quick, if I may. I want to just go show y'all. Let me switch views real quick. I want to show y'all something real fast. Where is it? Here we go. This is from the Post saying, hey, you know, I'm going to be interviewing Kamala Harris for my next interview. Look at the comments. Can y'all see that? I'll make sure y'all can see it. Oh, wait, it just got small for some reason. What happened? My bad. I have no idea what just happened. It got really small. Hold on. All right, I'm just going to move this one over here. Give me a second. Let me figure out where that screen is. Where's that window? Oh, here it is. And 2 seconds, y'all. I think that worked. Yes, it did. Boom. Okay. I want y'all to see the comments from just what the fuck? Oh, I see. I know what happens. I moved it to okay. This over here, it changed the thing. All right. There we go. My bad. But when we look at some of the comments, and I'll just let you look at it, but I'll scroll as well. I'll be on for Donald J. Trump, one of my favorite podcasts, and now I'll never listen again. Oh, Kamala, Alex never make me like you, 2024. Trump, this was a horrible career move, Alex. She can't hold a press conference, but she can go on a podcast. Again, she's done a few press conferences. Like, this is incredible. This is crazy. They're horrifying. But let's look at some of the women, though. Let's look at some of the women. All emotion, zero facts or plan. Katie. That's Katie's face right there. Hold on a second. Pull this back over. That's Katie. I'll be voting for Donald J. Trump. Taylor. These are just random white women. It makes no sense to me. These are women that men look at as objects. These are women that horrible career move, Alex. These are women who exactly would be like, yo, get back in the kitchen. That wet t-shirt contest. And yet, these are real individuals. These aren't bots. These aren't made up people. But they vote against their interests all the time. I assumed when I was growing up, when I was about my late 20s, I was like, okay, millennials, we're not going to save anybody. We are just doing the same shit our parents did. But maybe Gen Z will save us. It's Gen Z. This is Gen Z. Gen Z, again, remember what I told y'all about an hour ago? I said hate, bigotry, misogyny. You aren't born like that. You're taught this. These women probably feel like they're bosses. How do I get out of this? And yet, somebody told them, Kamala ain't it. Let me see what else we got in here. Hold on a second. Goodbye, Anna. These women can't be no more than 23, 24 years old. Probably the first time they've ever voted. Trump 2024. Grab him by the pussy. Sexual assault. But hey, these are the people. Again, probably married at 23. Housewife. Conservative parents. I just wanted to let y'all see some of the comments that were on this post and how sickening it could be. All right, let's get back to the meat and potatoes. Did I fuck up? There we go. All right, drag this back over here.
Focus on abortion for a moment because 2 years ago, Roe v. Wade was overturned and women lost their constitutional right to an abortion. I put out an episode about it. I flew to North Carolina. Yeah. I went to a preferred women's health center. I met with women that were getting screamed at and chanted at and called baby killers, and it was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had, because I am a privileged white woman that lives in Los Angeles, and I am so aware of that.
At least you know.
I understand that a lot of the younger generation sees things online and is like, what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is not. Can you explain and talk about what is actually happening to abortion access right now in this country?
Yeah. So again, I thank you for what you've been doing and at the earliest stage of this and following the stories. So, you know, on public policy, I often tell my team, look, I don't want to hear about public policy is a fancy kind of speech or paper. Tell me how it'll affect a real person. So let's talk about how it affects a real person. The majority of women who receive abortion care are mothers. So if she's in a state, and by the way, every state in the South, except for Virginia, has an abortion ban, okay? So imagine she's in a state with an abortion ban. 1 out of 3 women are, by the way, in our country. And she's a mom. So she's gonna have to figure out, one, God help her if she has affordable childcare. God help her if she has paid leave. And then she's gonna have to go to the airport, stand in a TSA line, sit on a plane next to a perfect stranger to go to a city where she's never been to receive the care she needs. She's gonna probably have to get right back on that plane because she's got those kids. Her best friend's probably not with her because that's who's taking care of the kids. To get back in that TSA line, to get back on a plane, to go home.
And that's all if they can even afford
Afford
the plane ticket
Exactly.
or the bus ticket.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I remember my DMs were flooded with thousands of women begging me to help. And it's overwhelming. And I can't even imagine, I'm saying that in front of you, but it's over.
What power would a podcast host, like, what would be the reason? I guess that's the relatability I was talking about earlier, right? I guess that's the relatability aspect where they look at her like a big sis. Like, for what reason would you hit up her because you try and get an abortion or need to get an abortion and your state is banded, you got to travel 4 states up, you don't have the money? Like, what would be the purpose of hitting her up? What is she gonna do? But like I said, man, people are lost a lot of times. A lot of people are just lost and don't know where to turn for information, for healthcare, for what's even going on out here. We pass laws with such thick jargon attached to them that your average person can't really decipher these things, which is why I know ATL Peach is probably not in here no more, but I know that she was saying it's kind of crazy how AI has such lifelike qualities now. However, I think it's important that we can make, what's up, girl? It's important that we still have a way to understand this jargon. That's why you have people like me who will try and make these complex bills more relatable, so you understand fully what you're voting on or what's about to occur, right? I don't think people understood the ramifications of what repealing Roe v. Wade would do. And it's been over 4 years now. Well, I guess, when was it repealed? 2022? 21? Been a couple years. And we're seeing the results. Like I told y'all at one time, the young lady in Georgia, she's 28 years old. She needed to get an abortion. She took the abortion pill. It didn't get everything. What was left became septic. She got an infection. The doctors could have saved her very, very easily, but were afraid to lose their practice, lose their license. And because of the decision of 3 people who never met that girl, she died. Her kid no longer has a mom, doesn't have a dad, is raised with grandma. Who knows how much time Grandma got? And so, though that doesn't affect you because you never met the young lady, you might not live in Georgia, the story is still happening. It's still played out that way. Yeah, they always get quiet when it's time to ask questions like, hey man, what are you gonna do about this? Did you know this young lady died as a direct result of that? Those judges that voted to repeal Roe v. Wade, the blood is on their hands. Literally. Without them, if Justice, what was the lady? I forgot her name. If she had stepped down, Obama could have made a pick. Instead, she stayed and died. And Donald Trump got 3. Like I said, I need y'all to understand, this isn't just about Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. The next president gets 2 picks. If Donald Trump wins, that's 2 more conservative judges. Whenever I'm talking about something serious, they love to give me the emotes. Gun shooting, abortion rights, emotes. I'd be like, hey, here we go. Nothing happens. But like I was saying, this next president is very important for that reason. Because if you hear any sort of thing that's on the table, oh, please believe it's getting overturned. There's a ruling that you're afraid, hey, if this gets passed, it's gonna be bad for us. It's gonna pass. And so when it happens and you're like, what? If you voted for Trump, it's on you. Oh, yeah, 10K? Hey, oh, all right, here we go. Yes. Huh? What else can I do? All of it. All of it. And I think there's one more. Yeah. Bam. I'm learning how to work my powers. Every day. Day by day, baby. Day by day. How much more this we got? I want to go. So I've been trying to go live so I can have people on here. Right? I want to have people like on, like guests. And let them get their shit off. But when I tried to do it, it was saying like, nah, you got to go live like 3 times 30 minutes. I'm like, but I go live like every day. I guess because I'm using a third party, it don't count. But the people who like you see go live, it look like they be recording on bricks. Like it only be 1080p. It'd be like 480. Disgusting. I want to throw up when I see people's lives. I'm like, ugh. And they be having like 400,000 likes. It's crazy. But I think after this, I'm gonna go live for like a little bit. Just not on this platform, like not on Streamlabs, just like on the phone. So when it's over, yeah, their iPhones is kind of crazy. Their main income is TikTok is crazy. Let me tell you something right now. If I would start getting money, I mean I'm getting a little bit of money out there, but I started getting money with TikTok, you think I'm gonna quit my job? No, just additional income. I get money to just make videos. Yeah, well, work as well, dumbass. You making 60, 70 plus TikTok, now you making over 100 grand. You can live the life you want instead of hoping to God that people like your live or whatever. Like, I just want you to like my live so I can just get 10K. I don't know what that even means. I don't think that even does anything. I think it's just like a vanity metric. Vanity metric is something that doesn't really mean anything. It's just, it looks good. But anyway, back to the joint.
But it's overwhelming. And I remember people begging me like, I just need to afford a bus ticket so I can get out of this abortion desert that I live in the South so I can get to a state. But they can't even afford, you know what I mean? So it's like these people are
not too much on the South. They didn't say the South a few times. They didn't say the South one too many times. I don't like that. I don't like that. It's 20 states, they said. 20. Hold on. Let me look it up. Because you're not going to keep talking bad about the South this whole interview. States with abortion bans. Okay. Okay, that's South. Okay. We got Total bans: Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, fuck. Mississippi, Missouri, fuck. Oklahoma, South Dakota. Tennessee, Texas, fuck. West Virginia. West Virginia? The Oklahoma is south-ish, but it's West Coast more so. Let's see, who else we got? Bans in the first 18 weeks of pregnancy. Arizona has 15 weeks, Florida has 6 weeks, Georgia has 6 weeks. Hey, I don't know what that means. You can't do nothing in the first 6 weeks, or you only got 6 weeks. I think you only got 6 weeks, which is crazy because that's the first month. I had my period. Then 2 weeks in, you're like, something ain't right. And on the 7th week, you go and you are pregnant, and then bam, you stuck. Nebraska has 12 weeks. North Carolina has 12 weeks. South Carolina has 6 weeks. Utah, I'm surprised Utah was not in the total ban, but they are at 18 weeks. Kind of crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, my lovely wife, Milan Moves, has made an appearance in the chat. Hey, baby. She be trying to show out, right? She don't send no hearts, not hearts, what is it called? Roses. She'll send random objects that I cannot see because they're so small. I think we have a ticket, a blue ticket, a cotton candy heart. Don't know what that is. I know that heart with a crown. Okay. Showing out. Loving my life there, baby. If you want to see what my wife looks like, you can click her page. Ladies only. I know where most of y'all live. I can fly at any point. Don't get it twisted. I can catch a flight anywhere, at any time. That's that brand deal money. Brand deal money. I catch a flight. Megabus shut down. Megabus, see, look, this again, if you're new here, this is why videos be 3 hours long. Megabus got me through my young adulthood. See, before I was a aviation worker and having free flights, I was a Megabus, Spirit, and Frontier rider. And they talk a lot of shit about Spirit, but I'm like, listen, I just needed to go somewhere 2 hours. Stay up all night. Fall asleep on the flight. Oh, it's not comfortable. Bruh, like, I fly on Delta all the time. It's not like I'm like here kicking back unless I get first class, like I did for our anniversary. What is that? Microsoft Teams. What? The fuck? That was weird. But yeah. But Megabus was a dream. Let me tell you about Megabus. For $15 American, you can go a round trip. I would go to CIAA in North Carolina. And that would cost me $15. I was broke as hell. But I'd go $15, go to North Carolina, kick it on the block. It'd be like a 10-hour ride for something that's only 5 hours away. Like a 10-hour ride, multiple stops, but they had Wi-Fi and outlets. That's all you needed. And this is the era when Netflix, Hulu, you could download, no, you could stream. You couldn't download nothing yet. You could stream. So they had the Wi-Fi, they had the outlets. I was good, baby. I was good. Headphones on, plug in. Ugh, and don't let nobody be sitting next to me. I got 2 outlets now for $15? Come on now. RIP Megabus. Athens, UGA games? Huh? Would I sometimes mess up and miss the last bus out of Athens and get stuck there and have to befriend somebody so I can sleep on their couch? Yes. But it was a story to tell, baby. It was a story to tell. Anyway, back to this.
These people are literally landlocked into a.
Honey, why am I talking about Megabus? Because we were talking about how these young ladies have to take a bus or a plane to leave their state for an abortion because of the abortion ban. See, we talked about something serious before you came in here. It's like somebody just came in the room while you was having a serious, deep conversation, or you was watching like a good anime, and then somebody walks in the room, and they see the most inappropriate part of that scene in that one part of the anime. That happens all the time, actually. I was watching this one called Food Wars. If y'all ever seen it, don't watch it. Don't watch it. I only made it episode 2. Episode 1, it is a show about cooking, as the name suggests. Right? Bye, baby. Have fun. I'll see you later. It's a show about cooking, as the name Food Wars suggests. So you would think that food is involved. It is, to a degree. But the food is so good, it's orgasmically good. Right? And so when these people would eat the food, massive orgasms, I guess. Because I was watching it, Jasmine, we were dating. We were boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm chilling. Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid 5? It happens, bro. If you play video games, watch anime, you'll be shooting people dead. Just a breach happens, you running around, things calm down. You come in the room, cutscene happens. Sniper wolf. Whoa, why are you a sniper with your tits out? And a 50 cal. Now somebody coming in the room, you look weird. Anyway, back to the abortion conversation. We'll call her daddy.
To a position that they don't want to be.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing is that you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government shouldn't be telling her what to do. If she chooses, she'll talk to her priest, her pastor.
Nah, my wife be like, what are you watching? I'm like, well, I try to give her the 30-second synopsis. It's not going to work. I paused it, and there's like a fucking high school kid with her tits out. What am I supposed to say to that? It's a show about kids that have superpowers? Why does that one have a scantily clad outfit on? I don't know, baby. That's just the outfits they got. I don't know. But yeah, you said they were in high school, right? Now when they start digging into it, now you look extra weird. Now you look real weird. Real weird. Because now you got to explain why the first years at My Hero Academy got their tits out. And you're like, oh, whoa, I just watched it for the plot. You can't even use I watched it for the plot in this situation. Anyway.
Pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government telling you what to do. And that's what's so outrageous about it, is a bunch of these guys up in these state capitals are writing these decisions because they somehow have decided that they're in a better position to tell you what's in your best interest.
Wait, is that really a character on Metal Gear Solid 5? She can't breathe through her, like she has to breathe through her skin, so that's why she don't wear clothes? See, he playing that weird shit. I play Pokemon. We don't have none of that over here. We don't have none of that over here, bro. We don't have none of that over here.
It's in your best interest, then you are to know what's in your own best interest. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. I mean, Daddy Gang, to put it in our TikTok terms, I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how
many tampons do women use on a period? That honestly, I really don't know. I think I saw the TikTok she's talking about. I don't know. I have no idea. Right? But it's weird. But you know what I'm saying? That's something you don't think about because it doesn't pertain to you. You never think about what's the difference between a pad and a tampon? I don't know. 3. It's very much not 3. 3 in a day. 3 in half of the day. Man said 3. For the whole period? Just leave that thing in, huh? Leave it in. Wait for it to pass. Wait for the storm to pass. I mean, but again, I've been living with a woman my entire life. I have no idea. I've been with Jasmine 7 years. I think I picked up pads. No. Okay. I call them pussy grenades. Hold on. Because I play a lot of video games. primarily back in the day, Call of Duty and Medal of Honor. In the beginning, before they got all sci-fi, it was World War I, World War II. And the grenade was one you had to like pull the thing and it would explode. So in my mind, right? Put it in. I don't know if you pull the stick. I don't. Do you pull? I think you stick it. I don't know what you do. But you put it in, it expands. Grenade. Pussy grenade. That's why. We're here to learn. We're here to learn. We're here to learn.
How, like, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic, ever.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I didn't know that, but I guess that makes sense.
To your point.
And yet the men are making the decisions about our bodies.
And here's the other thing about this point, it's about IVF treatments and access. It's about access to contraception, which is very much at risk with these folks. It is about, back to the point about reproductive health clinics. You know what those clinics also do? They do PAPs. They do breast cancer screenings. They do HIV testing. And
I didn't know that for some years. 10 to 50 in a box. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, 10 to 50 in a box. That's crazy. What? That's crazy. So do you use a box a day? A box a day is crazy. Black Geek Energy. But also, do you use a box? Oh no, I hate tampons. See, we don't know. See, this is the thing. This is why we come to this live, man. We learn so much, primarily this, about tampons and how in which they're consumed.
They're having to close in many places with these bans. So think about the fact that for anyone who has gone to one of these clinics, you understand that it is sometimes the most trusted place where people receive that kind of health care, because they walk into those places that are generally staffed by people who create a safe place for people.
Hold on. See, but I want y'all to see, we're making jokes, but I want y'all to have a deeper context of this, right? Notice how Black Geek Energy said, I'm too old not to know. He's the same age as me. We do not know. I ain't gonna put you out. We do not know. And so, imagine, you think I'm gonna learn? 30 years from now, I become a Supreme Court justice and I'm making rules about women's reproductive rights. I have no clue how they work. I called them pussy grenades 45 seconds ago. You see what I'm saying? But yet, these people are making laws and choices to depict how a woman should move in society, which is crazy to me. Which is crazy. Because there is no law about what men can do sexually, reproductively. None. So I want y'all to the fuck? Lord. But we don't have those types of conversations. You see, you know when you get online and people say like, we need to have a conversation about, no we don't. These are the conversations we need to have. About known unknowns. Y'all remember the Boondocks, that episode? Hold on. You know I like to pull up things to, let's see, known, unknown, Boondocks. I know y'all seen this episode before of the Boondocks. We're gonna bring it back real fast. R.I.P. Charlie Murphy. Where's it at? Not that one. Bam. So when I say unknown, there are four things. There are known knowns, unknown knowns, known unknowns, and unknown unknowns. Right? We're gonna show this to you real fast. You ain't gotta do all that. That's crazy. Just show the clip. Anybody subscribing for a minute-long clip, bro?
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist.
What?
What?
What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of. They speak English in what?
What?
English, motherfucker. Do you speak it?
Yeah.
So you understand the words I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is that there are known knowns and that there are known unknowns, but there's also unknown unknowns. Things we don't know that we don't know.
What?
Say what again? Say what again?
Now, that was the first time I'd ever heard that, but I never forgot that particular bar because it was very impactful, actually. And it's true. Again, the known unknown in this situation is we know what a tampon is, but when you ask, how much does a woman use in a day? I don't know. You know what? I really don't know this. So it's important that we have conversations similar to this that depict these things and show us how things work. That's
It's
kind of
for people
conversation
to
we
come
have.
in without judgment. So anyone seeking any kind of reproductive health care and wanting to go to a place where they feel safe and without judgment, these clinics have often been the place that people can go. And many of them are having to close because of these laws.
I was raised Catholic, and abortion is a sin. And when I put out that episode, I had a lot of women reach out to me saying, like, wow, I live in the South and I never thought about it that way. Like, maybe I am pro-choice because I won't get an abortion because of
Yeah,
my religion,
right.
but why should we control what someone else wants
And
to
that's
do?
and you know what's interesting, Alex, to your point, what I'm finding as I travel? People who before 2 years ago, before Roe v. Wade was overturned, people who felt very strong about that they are anti-abortion, are now seeing what's happening and saying, I didn't intend for all this to happen. And I think that's also why in state after state, so-called red states and so-called blue states, when this issue has been on the ballot, the American people are voting for freedom. Because ultimately it's about, look, this is not about imposing my thoughts on you in terms of what you do with your life or your body. It's actually quite the opposite. It's saying the government shouldn't be telling people what to do.
I think that unfortunately we have these real life names. We have these horrific moments that these people are losing their lives, right? We have a woman named Amber Thurman who died
That's her.
in Georgia because the abortion bans in that state, the doctors were too afraid to treat her.
Yeah.
I know that you spoke to her family.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like?
It was heartbreaking, Alex. It was heartbreaking. Her mom and her two sisters. And so Amber was a young mother of a 6-year-old son.
Yep.
She was a medical assistant who was so excited because she was just getting on her feet to be independent. She got her own apartment in a gated community with a pool that her son could play in. She got accepted to nursing school. She was, as described by her family, so excited and so ambitious, and she had plans. Then she found out she was pregnant, and she didn't want to go through with her pregnancy, and she was living in Georgia, and she couldn't receive care there because she was past 6 weeks. And so she ended up going to another state, and because she was she couldn't get there on time, and because the other state had been so overwhelmed by all these women coming from all these southern states who couldn't get treatment in their own state, the window for her appointment had closed. So instead of having a surgical procedure, she had medication, and basically went back home and then had some complications and went to the hospital because she was bleeding, and they delayed 20 hours before they
26.
treated her, because here's the thing that's so
26
messed up
hours.
about this. Some of these people will say, well, but I do believe in exceptions. I believe that there should be an exception in terms of in the life of the mother. Okay, here, let's talk about this. This gets back to, again, practical application of policy. Okay, So you believe there's an exception that the person should receive abortion care if the life of the mother is at risk? You know what that means in practical terms? She's almost dead before you decide to give her care. What? So we're going to have public health.
Yeah, and just to get, not to get more graphic about it, but she was in pain the entire time. The entire time. She was in a hospital bed waiting for care. And they were going back and forth about it. And then they just said, fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something. But it was too late. She died in 2022. 2022.
Public health policy that says a doctor, a medical professional, waits until you're at death's door before they give you care? That's outrageous that anybody would be saying that that is acceptable policy. So until everything that physically could happen to your body in terms of deterioration, only at the point that, oh, she might die, is she going to get care? Where is the humanity?
Biggest woman podcast of all time. This random ass music in between.
I think that's what's been very difficult as a young adult in this country right now is like there are so many policies I could sit here and talk to you about, but Call Her Daddy has been rooted in supporting women and talking about women and lifting women up because it is no denying that we have always been underserved and we are treated like second-class citizen to men, right?
Yes.
And I can see people, I get it. We're going to talk about the economy. We're going to talk all about all this. But what is any of that good for if we're not even taking care of the people that are able to produce the next generation?
Yeah.
I do want to clarify something. In the debate, former President Trump claimed that some states are executing babies after birth. Can you just clarify?
That is not happening anywhere in the United States. It is not happening, and it's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie.
So what they're talking about is, I believe it was the governor of Virginia. And he was on a radio station. And what he was talking about was the doctors making a decision after the baby's born. They clipped it, right? West Virginia. Okay, it was West Virginia. They clipped it. But what he was talking about was, and it was like literally like 30 seconds prior. He was talking, and then they got to the part and they clipped it. What he was talking about was if the child is born with certain defects that may cause the child to die later on or be incapacitated for the rest of its life and then live in pain, the doctor and the mother would make the decision on what to do, which is very understandable. However, for the purposes of politics, they clipped it. And they ran with that story because Donald Trump said it. So instead of doing research, which again, when you hear something, Google is very free and very accessible. It's probably the most accessible thing that you have. These people just ran with the lie. And that's what we see a lot of times in our news, in our politics. As social media started to expand so dramatically, we've seen that we don't get our news from traditional sources. Your MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, things like that. Our news is being disseminated to us from people that look like you or me. Now, I do my best to do my due diligence for my research. Like, if I don't see enough of the same story, I don't know, right? At the same time, we can't trust some of these news outlets. I did a video for Afrotech. It hasn't come out yet, but I did a video of Afrotech. We're talking about Moses West. He's a black man that created a climate hydration system where it takes the precipitation and the water droplets from general air, and it makes drinkable water, 2,200 gallons per day. And so, since they've been around, they've made between 4 to 6 million gallons of water. Well, Afrotech put $6 billion gallons of water, which would be unbelievable. But they're not there yet. And so Yahoo News picked up that story and posted it. So now you have basically 6,000 millions of gallons of water versus 6 million. See what I mean? So it's tough to determine what's factual and what's not, but we try and do our best. But when people who you trust, like Donald Trump or other politicians, say things that are clearly false, but you want to believe so hard and you don't want to be wrong that they're real, you run with it. And misinformation spreads, like Mama Ty, like Yudi. And so you end up in hot water, like those two.
That he is suggesting that, can you imagine? He is suggesting that women in their 9th month of pregnancy are electing to have an abortion. Are you kidding? That is so outrageously inaccurate, and it's so insulting to suggest that that would be happening and that women would be doing that. It's not happening anywhere. This guy is full of lies. I mean, I just have to be very candid with you. You know, so in my career, from the time I got out of law school through most of my career as a prosecutor, I understood that the words that I spoke and what I did with those words would be the difference between whether somebody
Figured I would leave this here because
was charged with a crime or went to prison, maybe prison for life. When I was Attorney General, I was the top law enforcement officer of the biggest state in this country. And I was acutely aware that the
Black Greek Energy said, "Who is Mama Ty?" I'll let you see real quick. Not that one. There we go. Mama Ty. Mama Ty, as you would imagine, is a white woman, a southern white woman. Where's it at?
this is where I like to drop off my, I don't know, for like 20 days now.
So-
my grief has just been,
What happened was she was talking about FEMA and her dissatisfaction for FEMA. And she put out a lot of misinformation, as most people did. You know, people want to act all fake outraged. And so she got a lot of flack for it, her and Officer Yudi. And so she pretty much said, you know, I don't talk politics. When someone says, I don't talk politics, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. When somebody says, I don't do politics, let me tell you something. Politics, you do politics everywhere you go. You do politics every single place you go. You can't escape it. You mad about healthcare? Politics. You mad about the cost of groceries? Politics. You mad about the pothole that gave your car a flat tire? Politics. So when people say I don't do politics, I really can't bang with you. Not at this age. When I was 22, maybe. Maybe. But at this age, I can't. Because the decisions that are happening, you're bitching about right now on this app. You're pulling your camera just like this in front of your face, and you're making a minute-long TikTok about what you're pissed about. But what you're pissed about is something political. Someone had the power to make a difference in it, and they didn't, because you didn't ask that of them. You didn't command, not ask, you didn't command that of them. They literally work for you. You put them in office, and they didn't do what you said to do. Why'd you? So when creators get caught up in some bullshit, and then they got to backtrack, but they don't want to double down. Well, they double down, but without saying it. Like, I don't do politics. Because I know if I was a big creative, I had maybe 2 million, 3 million people following me, and someone accused me. Remember when we first started, if y'all was here from the very beginning, when the dude came on and said, "You MAGA?" Because Black Geek Energy said, "Yo, what was your Trump, your MAGA stream you did?" He said, "You MAGA?" And I was like, "No." Say I did that quick. I said, "No, I'm not MAGA. No." Mad easy to do. Mad easy. But when someone doesn't outright say, "No, I don't support Donald Trump. I don't support what he does," either you a slave to the bag, or you MAGA. Simple as that. What are we talking about?
Aware that the words I spoke could be the difference between whether a corporation was in business or out of business, that the words I spoke could move markets. The idea that someone is not only so careless and irresponsible and reckless, but out and out lies to create fear and division in our country, and thinks he should be president of the United States standing behind the seal of the president of the United States using the microphone that comes with that, and using that voice and those words in such an irresponsible, and that's mild, way. And this is why this election matters. There's so many things at stake right now, and one of them is to collectively say, you know what? Somebody who uses their voice and that microphone in that way should never be president of the United States.
I think, again, like, I'm not CNN, I'm not Fox. Like, I am a woman who is talking about her experiences on my podcast, and I have millions of women that tune in to connect with me and to connect with whoever is sitting across from me. And I want to pose this question more to you and the Daddy Gang, but one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
Yep.
I want to take a moment, and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision
I know what you're gonna ask.
about a man's body? Let's just pause.
No.
Is there any law?
No. It's no. Look, we are a work in progress. But here's one of the many things I so love about our country. Part of the strength of our country and our evolution as a country has been through the fight for the expansion of rights. Not the restriction of rights, but the expansion.
There'll be no law. What law would they make against men's bodies that would pass? None. There's nothing they would make. Like, this country was founded where women didn't have a voice, black people were not seen as humans. We put Asian people in internment camps because we couldn't determine who was who. We're currently being bigoted towards people who came over here similar to us and immediately went to work doing jobs that we do not want to do, but are a central part of our economy. America is built on discrimination. America is built on racism, on oppression. Think about if you had to pay a slave a fair wage. They'd just be a worker at that point. Think about if they had certain regulations with slave quarters. There'd be a lot more black people in positions of power. And they never wanted that. Not even that the black people could have slaves. It's just black people were paid a fair wage. You know, they have the same mindset to live. Let's all live together in the same quarters, stack our money. Let's buy ourselves a house. Think about what your family would be if they had that mindset 12 generations ago. I don't know how far back that is. That's over 200 years. That discrimination didn't exist. It's incredible to see where we would be as a society if that did happen, if that was the way in which things happened. But it's not. You know, just isn't.
with the expansion of rights. And we still have work to do. But I say that that work is born out of love of country. And it's hard work, but it's good work and it's important work. And that's what's before each of us. And I think that, around election time, but every day, back to the conversation that we've been having about power, the beauty of a democracy is that we each as individuals have the power to weigh in on this stuff. And around election time, it's through your vote. And, and if you're interested, the ability to organize your friends and family around what you care about that's on the ballot. But this is the beauty of a democracy. We each have the power to weigh in on this. And I say to everybody, however you vote, don't let anyone take your power from you.
I want to ask you a question because again, in speaking about women, there has been a very big fixation on biological children, stepchildren, women that have children versus women that don't have children. It's like a huge point somehow of this entire election, right? I saw the governor of Arkansas said, "My kids keep me humble." Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble. How did that make you feel?
I don't think she understands that there are a whole lot of women out here who, one, are not aspiring to be humble. Two, a whole lot of women out here who have a lot of love in their life, family in their life, and children in their life. And I think it's really important for women to lift each other up. I'll tell you, Alex, one of the things that I have really enjoyed about where the discussion has gone, one of the places it's gone, we have our family by blood, and then we have our family by love. And I have both. And I consider it to be a real blessing. And I have two beautiful children, Cole and Ella, who call me Mamala. We have a very modern family. My husband's ex-wife is a friend of mine, and also I'll tell you,
That's crazy.
Look, I'm a child of divorced parents. And when I started dating Doug, my husband, I was very thoughtful and sensitive to making sure that until I knew that our relationship was something that was going to be real, I didn't want to form a relationship with the kids and then walk away from that relationship. My own experience tells me that, children form attachments and you really want to be thoughtful about it. And so I waited to meet the kids. And they are my children. And I love those kids to death. And family comes in many forms. And I think that increasingly, all of us understand that, this is not the 1950s anymore.
Yeah.
Families come in all kinds of shapes and forms. And they're family nonetheless.
I'll tell you something. Doug had that hammer. Up y'all don't know. Doug had that hammer on him. Huh? He wasn't no confident either. Something about that white man. I gotta see old Doug. Y'all seen old Joe Biden? Like old, not old Joe Biden, but old pictures of Joe Biden? My wife couldn't even look at him. I don't want y'all in the same room. Joe looked like he had the jokes. Like he was a jokester in the Navy. Come to port, and let's put on our uniforms, let's go find some girls, y'all. Like they said, nah, we can't go out. Man, we'll be all right. Yeah, being friends with the ex-wife is crazy. I'm not being friends with my wife's new whatever the fuck. I'm tell you that right now. I'm tell you that today. Joe was slinging that sausage. I ain't gonna hold you, man. He definitely probably was. Cause I saw old Joe. What, man? The color photo when he was on the Navy Yard. Oh man, my wife better not look his way. Nope. Stay in the house. Get in the kitchen. Don't even get in the closet. I don't even want you to be knowing he's there. Listen, young Joe Biden, he got on like an orange shirt. I think, it might have been maybe they doctored it up with the color, but like he has an orange shirt on. He's standing there smiling. And I'm like, yeah, nah. I don't even want my wife be on the same internet as this dude. I don't want them to cross paths. But I understand too, co-parenting is important, or being cool with the other person's person. You know, I understand that aspect of it. It's about the kids. I don't have no kids yet. So damn that. But when I have a kid, I understand. You know, you want to make sure the kids' mental health and well-being is important. And to see a blended family to that degree is important. So.
Nonetheless.
It's a big conversation I have on my show, because I also know there are a lot of people that, you know, don't have the ability to even have a relationship with their blood families, right? Whether it's through death or abuse or boundaries that are being set.
Absolutely.
Like, it is more common these days for people to know what boundaries are in the first place because of the conversation around mental health, and to choose family and to choose people that lift them up. And I think it is a very big conversation. I want to just say for the daddy gang of like, you should not feel ashamed for whatever you call your family. A family is a family, and a family is a family.
That's exactly right. That's so, I think that's
I think that's the best way to put it. Marcel made a good point. I don't want to be friends, but I also don't want to be disrespectful. What y'all got going on is what y'all got going on. I'm happy for you. Like, I look at like my ex from college, right? When we broke up, of course it was my fault. But when we broke up, I was like, hey, I want you to glow up. I want you to have a man that's a doctor and give you the life that you deserve. I really do. And I meant that. Did she do it? Nah. Nah, she didn't do it. But she got a kid now. Are they together? I don't know. But shout out to her and congrats to her. You know what I mean? I try and be humble and, like Marcel said, not disrespectful.
I think that's absolutely important because, again, I think there's so many forces that come in very different ways that are just trying to make people feel small and alone.
I know that we all saw, obviously, Taylor Swift's like sign out on her Instagram, and I wanted to address Donald Trump's VP pick, JD Vance, called women who don't have kids childless cat ladies. What message do you think this sends to women who cannot conceive or just don't want kids?
I just think it's mean and mean-spirited. And I think that most Americans want leaders who understand that the measure of their strength is not based on who you beat down. The real measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up.
Because it's too damn expensive. How are you going to help young people not feel left behind?
Here we go.
So, first of all, it's a very real issue, and we need to take it seriously. And I do take it very seriously. So there are a number of issues that contribute to that feeling. One is housing is too expensive, and we need to increase the housing supply. So part of my plan is to work with home builders in the private sector to create tax incentives to build, by the end of my first term, 3 million more housing units. Second piece is $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. Because a big issue in terms of the barrier to being a homeowner is just having enough to actually put that down payment down, right, to get your foot in the door. The other piece of it is we need to give...
So I'll tell you right now, like about the housing thing, so I like the fact she's even tackling it, right? Like, is that solution going to fix it? But giving the credit to the home builders, it may spur a lot of construction, right? Giving them that tax credit. But the issue, right, is stopping these hedge funds from buying up all the homes. You see, propaganda is very real. And a couple of years ago, I know a lot of y'all were saying, you know, Airbnb hosts were buying up all the properties and all that stuff and raising the prices of housing. And we kept going back and forth. As an Airbnb host, we were going back and forth about this. But then the Airbnb bubble popped. And there weren't as many Airbnbs. Did the price of rent go down? No. You know why? Airbnb was never the problem. If something was listed as a 1-bedroom for $17,500, we just rented it like a normal person. We just rented it. We're not getting 10 of these things. We're getting 1, 2, 3, 4. Most I had was 5. Right? We're not raising the price. Nobody's putting a 30-year mortgage on a house to make $2,500 a month. Nobody's doing that. It never made sense. But because you heard it somewhere, you regurgitated that fact, and that was the argument. We were arguing about regurgitated facts, when in fact it was BlackRock, hedge funds like that would buy 800 homes a month. Go on Zillow right now. Go on Trulia right now. Scroll to the bottom and see, is it a person that owns the house or is it a company? You'd be very surprised. And so they artificially inflate the price because they buy a block and let it sit. And they take the house at $200,000 and raise it to $4 million. They can afford to wait. They the bank. I could wait 2 years to get my money. I could wait 3 years to get my money. You'll buy it when you have no other choice. So there's a bill that was introduced by Bernie Sanders about stopping hedge funds from buying single-family homes or putting a cap on it. Guess where that bill is? Still sitting there. Still sitting there. But that's what happens. So it is good she's at least tackling the issue. But the underlying root cause problem of it is what I want them to address.
Give tax credits and really understand that middle class and working people need a break. And so part of my plan is to give 100 million more people who basically are middle class working people tax cuts, including for young parents, a $6,000 tax cut for the first year of their child's life, which helps them buy a crib or a car seat or clothing and just get through that first year, which is such an important and critical stage of their child's development.
I have a lot of listeners that are fresh out of college,
Yeah.
right? And they were told, obviously, their student loans would be forgiven, and now they are drowning in
Yeah.
student debt. What do we say to those people?
We are fighting, and I'm going to continue to fight for student debt relief. I mean, student loan debt is a huge issue, and to your point, it's a barrier to people being able to even think about starting a family, buying a home, and we need to give people.
Here's the thing about the student loans. I don't mind people getting this shit for free. Marcel got his paid off. One of my homeboys, he's a Q, his ace, $500,000 paid off. No, actually it was a Delta. Her shit got paid off, but his also got paid off. I have a private loan. One private loan. Am I mad that they got this shit paid off? No. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I care about you getting it. Appreciate it. Congrats. But I don't care. I pay taxes. Like, where that money goes is where it goes. But if it helps people get out of economic distress and be able to thrive in life, I'm just a hater if I say otherwise. It's not fair. Fuck. Life ain't fair, big dog. But this is what happens, end result. As we see everybody's congratulating Marcel on getting his student loans paid off, that's the joint with it. And as you saw, it got approved by a judge, the same day got denied by another judge. People just hate us. They don't want to see the American people catch up. Because if everybody's doing well, then nobody's doing well. What do I mean by that? If everybody makes $100,000 a year, what's it matter if this is $10? What's it matter? We'll just raise prices. You gonna say you don't have it? You definitely got it. Oh, let me see. Is it dark enough for me to cut on my lights? Wait a minute. God damn. Did my wife unplug? My wife unplugged my lights. Hold on a second, y'all. One second. My wife is being a hater. Speaking of haters, sometimes your haters in your own household. Like my wife. Okay, that might be too bright. That's too bright. Yeah. So anyway, back to this.
Relief, part of the work that
We
we've
almost
done
done. It's
is
like
that
3 minutes
when
left.
I've been vice president has been to
No difference.
forgive student loan debt for millions of people by this point, I think over 5 million, including doubling the amount of student loan forgiveness for public servants like nurses and teachers and firefighters. But we have to do more. Debt is a big issue. The other piece that I've been pushing for is helping people in terms of medical debt not being on their credit score. Because, if you rack up debt because you have medical bills and it can be used against your credit score, which is going to impact your ability to get an apartment lease or...
You know what's crazy about this? Like her going in this part of the interview? In the comments, somebody was like, she's all fluff, didn't talk about one plan. Is this not the plan? And also, this isn't new information. I want people to understand. When we heard those policies back in the end of July, and I went on live and I was talking about it, that's it. That's it. Those were the plans. She has said the same things every day, talking about some she don't do interviews. What else do you want to know? This is the plan. This is it. She said the housing stuff, the medical bills, the child tax credit, the price gouging. She's talked about all this stuff all the time. She don't do interviews. How many ways do you want her to say this? How many ways do you want her to say this? You know what? Once this is over, I'm just going to go live on my phone because I need to rack up 30 minutes or whatever it said. But I'm going to talk about this stuff. So if you want to join, please do.
Or a car loan or a small business loan.
I mean, I think I know we don't have that much time to go into all of this, but I think the biggest problem for people right now that I'm finding when I'm reading online with all these young people is people are so frustrated and just exhausted with politics in general. People feel they don't feel incentivized to vote because they feel like politicians are essentially over-promising, under-delivering. Why should we trust you?
So I'll say this, look, you can look at my career to know what I care about. I care about making sure that people are entitled to and receive the freedoms that they are due. I care about lifting people up and making sure that you are protected from harm. I care about tapping into the ambitions and the aspirations of people, knowing that we are capable of so much, but you can't grow the strength of our country if you underestimate the capacity of each person, right? Which is why another thing that I'm really focused on is small businesses and startups, and giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction, because right now it's $5,000 and you can't start up any small business with $5,000. But the bottom line is this: I believe in the promise of America. I have not been able to be the first in every position that I've had, were it not for the promise of America. I believe in our country. I love our country. And I believe that leadership has to be about knowing our capacity and then investing in the people. Because lifting up each person that we do is about lifting up the whole.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for coming on Call Her Daddy. It was truly an honor.
Thank you, and thank you for your voice.
And that was Alex Cooper and Call Her Daddy, the pie. Hopefully y'all learned something from this, right? It was a lot. And I will be recapping it in a minute. If you don't have time to stay around, I appreciate y'all for stopping through. We got to our goal of 10,000. We had 14,000 likes. Pause. Pause. But I appreciate y'all helping me grow, man. I put a lot of earnest on myself and a lot of pressure on myself to continue growing. But then I compare myself to these creators, and I realize, man, they've been around since 2020. Bro, you got 2028. Get creating. Keep making videos. So as you may have seen, I put out 3 videos a day. Get an algorithm, baby. Get back in, get move up. Got to put in the work. But yeah, I'm about to get on live again. I'm just gonna get out of this and then go on my phone. So if you see me pop up again, it is me. I'll see y'all in a little bit.